It wouldn't be particularly difficult to trick me. There was a time when it would be an impressive feat. I considered myself to be quite a human lie detector. To an extent, I still am, though I think my indifference probably has grown proportionately to the vastness of all situations, which seem to be without end. If you wonder why I do that often, it's not the mustache, I don't think. It's a fucking habit, probably. I don't know. Have someone analyze my body language when I do that and let me know. Maybe because I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about this Spartacus episode 107 called Great and Unfortunate Things. That saying I usually say is great and terrible things, which I borrowed from the saying, I will do great and terrible things to protect those I love. But I'm thinking in a different perspective. I'm thinking of the goddess of the world, of all creation. She has many names, which vary by nation. Gaia, Tiamat. Tiamat's more a concept, perhaps, than a goddess, and the way we think of goddesses. Though Gaia can and has taken human form, including at the time when she gave birth to the life on the earth. I was there. She gave birth to a few races. One was blue, one was black, one was white-ish. But she wouldn't let me watch something. The birth of something. It was only weeks later, maybe a couple months later. We had a lot of sex. And a lot of birth. A lot of times she gave birth. Very interesting stuff. Probably would have been disconcerting to most men to watch such vastness. But it was the time when we went back, and I believe she showed me when I was born. It was probably in the time of giants. There weren't many people to be seen, and I felt fairly large, like not hundreds of feet tall, but taller. Yeah, hundreds, at least. But I have no way to measure it besides the dome over the earth, which I didn't quite escape from. My feet got stuck. I guess I should have flown out faster. Bless you. She'd mentioned the hole in the northern sky. I believe she said north. Not right now. I'm making a video. She'd mentioned the northern sky and how there had been a hole in the sky.
Can I use this phone?
Not right now, thank you. Go see Mama. And we'd looked at that in the trees that were the giant trees that were cut down so that wax resin could be used to patch that hole in the sky, in the dome. But I didn't stick around. There were times when she would say, "Look away," or when I'd meet extraterrestrials in the woods and they would say, "You need to leave now," and I'd see ships approaching. And despite being stubborn, I do try to be respectful, so I did look away. Wish I hadn't. Maybe now. Maybe now, as I'm looking back, or forwards, or side to side in time, I'm more aware of my immortality and really trying to understand how I can make the best of it. Make a better world has been my goal. But my point is that from a biblical perspective and a religious, historical perspective, whoever teaches mankind information is responsible for that information. That's how Azazel first became a demon for teaching humans about metalwork. And the other craftsmen, Methuselah and the others, I think they just all blamed Azazel. He was the scapegoat for the audacity of those who taught humans. Because, well, I understand a bit why now. A bit. And that's a long rambling I could get into and never get to my point. But the goddess, this was 1990, this was 2000. See, when I say I, but we, when we were pregnant with my older daughter, Maya, I had, every time I closed my eyes, I had a vision of a dragon. Every time. This was back 1999 and early 2000s. Every time I closed my eyes, whether I was at work or at home, outside on the deck having a cigarette, I always saw the same thing. Her mom ended up tattooing that which I had seen onto her arm. And we had not discussed it. I don't believe we discussed it because my visions are not... I'm not accustomed to sharing my inner world and the things which matter most to me with the world. Maybe when I taught about the goddess, I did more than Azazel and the craftsmen had done when they taught humans. I had such high hopes for that information. And it wasn't until this last couple of years I realized that people didn't understand what the sacred feminine was, the divine feminine. And they didn't seem to understand the negative feminine or the negative masculine. They truly did not. And how do you blame people for what they don't know? That's not... It's not fair. Women truly are biologically, electrochemically designed to care for and love and nurture. Even if they don't like you, if you're there, she's probably gonna make you a sandwich. Because it's in her best interest biologically to be decent to the men around her, because women are biologically more resilient. They have twice as many nerve endings going to the surface of their skin. They don't get the man cold, but the man cold is real. Men get the flu and the cold way worse than women. It's a fact. Why? Because someone has to be able to hold the line. And women are that which holds together everything. And in return, the sacred contract where they love and nurture us, very little is truly asked of men. That we procreate, hopefully in a way that's enjoyable and never in a way that's harmful. This would be a basic fundamental hope. And that we protect them from harm. Because that's some of the best parts of being a man are in his ability to think along the lines of warfare, to think along the lines of what's good and what is not good for his people. And then for those men to have discussions about what is good and what is not good for their people. And then to act accordingly. The closest place to where I see that, even before the COVID shut down and everyone stopped talking, the closest place I ever saw it was in someplace I've never even seen with my own eyes, and that's the pubs and taverns in the UK, where men still got together and talked. I went to exactly pretty much 2 bars where there were any conversations by the men. One was a racist tirade, which was impressive, by a guy I was with on a memorable night. And the other was a truly guttural, profane, stupid display of sad masculinity. I wish I could say to you that either I or anyone else really tried to have a conversation about that, but I had a bad headache at the time of the impressive racist tirade, which was true, and Real ID 2020 will exemplify the reasons he was correct. I guess at the other event, the guy I was trying to impress, the bartender chick, but he offended her in the process, so she hit on me to make the point that she was not impressed with him. Oh, women. And that's all true. So when I talk about Mary, like when I taught Dan about Jesus and Mary, I mean, I don't want you to think it was a conversation. It was the master teaching the student. I had listened to Dan and my parents talk at great length for years and been treated like a child, to be seen and not heard.